The Seahawks take down the Broncos. 26-20 was the final score. Mike Macdonald gets his first win as a head coach in the NFL. And things started out really rocky for Seattle. In the first half of this game, this offensive line couldn't block a soul. They were as bad as what Colorado's offensive line was last night against Nebraska. They gave up a safety. Geno Smith had an interception. And I was just like, oh, God. Like, this is how Seattle's about to look offensively this year? I hope not. But, in the second half, they started to get the momentum on their side. Their offense started to get in rhythm as we progressed throughout the game. And once we got into the fourth quarter, that's when Seattle's offense really started to hum. Kenneth Walker had some really nice runs. He had a touchdown in this game. Zach Charbonnet also had a few nice runs as well. The offensive line for Seattle steadily started to improve throughout this game. They lost a guy to an injury early at offensive tackle. And this game was kind of a tale of two halves for Seattle. In the first half, you were losing the turnover battle. Then in the second half, you won the turnover battle. And the Denver Broncos, what ultimately lost them this game was their inability to capitalize early off Seattle's miscues, because Seattle's defense was out of this world this afternoon. I mean, for all of the miscues they had offensively, their defense was able to bail them out because they only gave up field goals off those mistakes. And Bo Nix, he looked rattled out there. He looked like a deer in headlights. He didn't look composed. He looked a little bit jumpy back there in the pocket. And I thought Bo Nix was going to look a lot better than what he did with Sean Payton being his head coach. And we know that Sean Payton is one of the better offensive minds that the NFL has seen over the last couple of decades. But, there definitely is a lot of work to be done with Bo Nix. He still is a work in progress, but I'm not too concerned about him, only because he went up against one of the best defenses that he's going to see all year. Mike Macdonald has a very complex defense. He throws a lot at you, a lot of different alignments, a lot of different fronts, and it was a tall task asking Bo Nix to have a good performance in his NFL debut, going up against a defense as complicated as what Macdonald's is. So I'm not too surprised that he struggled, but at the same time, I did thought that he would have looked a little bit better. I thought Sean Payton would have had a little bit of a better game plan, because that Mike Macdonald is one of the better defensive minds in the league. I mean, they're comparing this dude to be the defensive version of what Sean McVay is. So, I mean, if you're Sean Payton, you should have had a little bit of a better game plan to help ease Bo Nix into this game. I felt like the Denver Broncos put way too much on Bo Nix's plate against a stout defense in the Seattle Seahawks, and he struggled. He had 2 interceptions. He did have a touchdown, but, that was on the ground. It's just, you don't want your rookie quarterback in their first ever game against a defense as good as what Mike Macdonald's is to be throwing the football 42 times. That is a recipe for failure if you're asking your rookie QB to throw the ball as much as what Sean Payton did this afternoon. And, Bo Nix, he will get better. He did have some moments where he flashed his ability to make things happen when the play was breaking down, but you had a key amount of drops from his receivers as well. His supporting cast isn't that good. They got some really good running backs. You got Courtland Sutton, but outside of that, Bo Nix isn't really working with too much down there in Denver. So we're going to see how things continue to progress when it comes to Bo Nix development. But this was a huge win for the Seattle Seahawks. Anytime you can get your first career win as a head coach is always a huge milestone, and Seattle starts this season off right. You had a sloppy first half, but you played your best football in the second half when it mattered the most. Denver almost came back and made this a game, but, I was never once concerned about Seattle's ability to hold on to the win once they started to take control of this game, because Bo Nix couldn't do anything against the kind of fronts and looks that he was seeing Mike Macdonald throw at him